Yo, let's get it. Yo, let's go, let's get it. Live from the mic with the vibes explicit. Hosted by Buddy, the legend in the game. Laughter, stories, you'll never be the same. Yeah, Buddy, it's that podcast flair where the stars align and we venture to share. Yeah, 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 yeah. Step into the studio, light shining bright. Buddy Rahming's got the crew and the vibes just right. From comedians to actors, models and more. Entertainment biz, we're ready to explore. Chilling with legends, having heart-to-heart chats. Discussing personal journeys, no tips or hacks. With laughs that echo and stories that amaze. Every episode's a treat, let the conversation blaze. Yeah, buddy, welcome to the show.
Hey, yeah. What's going on, world? It's your man, Buddy Rahming, and we are back at it, y'all, with another episode of the Yeah, Buddy podcast. You know how we do like every episode, man. If you are a returning guest, thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time listening, we got a really dope episode for y'all. You know how we do every episode. I try to bring some of my friends from the entertainment business, comedians, actors, filmmakers, and we just sit down, chop it up, talk about our experiences in the film business, what we got coming up, and all that good jazz. And this episode is like no other, y'all. I got a very special friend of mine. I was looking at her resume. We probably worked on a couple of film sets together. We just didn't realize it or whatever, but we officially met last year at this film mixer called Cinema Film Mixer out in Oakland, California. Very great. If you are in the film community, check out Cinema. They do a lot of great stuff for the film community out there. But that's not what it's about right now. Right now, it's about our guest. The lady of the hour right now, y'all watch her make it loud and make it loud, make it live for my good friend, Miss Tina G, actress, model, hand model, she producer, she do it all. She's like a Swiss Army knife out here in the Bay Area, just doing everything she can. So I appreciate you being on my podcast. We got a lot to talk about. I know you got a lot of great information to give out to people. So I just want to let's just get started. So Tina, thank you for being on the podcast.
Oh man, thank you, buddy, for having me. I appreciate it.
No worries. So let's just get started with kind of how you kind of got started into finding your way into acting.
Oh man. So I found my way into acting when I was about 11. I started out like as a child, just kind of like doing like small little theater projects. I was doing that as a kid. And then a friend of mine actually got an audition in San Francisco, and she like invited me to tag along, and I was like, I don't want to go to this. And I happened to accompany her to this audition. While I was there, they got her on tape, and she was like, I have my friend with me, like we could get her on tape. So they actually did a take with her, and they did a take with the two of us together. They went with my friend. She ended up getting, booked for this. And around the time that she was supposed to shoot, she got ill. And her parents basically, kind of let the studio know that they had two girls on tape that were like the similar age, similar height, similar demographic. And usually you don't get booked that way. But in this case, they reached out to my family, and that's how I ended up getting the booking. So I shot my first commercial in San Francisco. It was really, really dope. It was for United Way. And that's kind of how I got like my first introduction as like, I guess professionally working, in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And you said that was up here in San Francisco?
Yeah, my first job I booked out of San Francisco. We shot it in San Francisco. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Because I was going out to your IMDb, and I noticed something really cool about you is that there was a gap time where you was a lot of Hollywood projects that she was working on, man. Like some pretty dope Hollywood projects that people would like look back and like, oh, okay. It's because you did this TV show called Ned's Declassified, and then another TV show out there called LAX, which of course the airport and stuff like that. How did that come about? You getting worked out in LA?
So I actually I grew up going back and forth to LA. So we would go there for the summers and just vacation there. We had family that lived there, and it was just something we did as a family tradition pretty much every year for the most part. So, after I got my initial commercial booking, I started getting into like modeling. I was doing some print and some catalog stuff. And then I ended up moving out to LA actually. And so I had this stint of time that I was working out in Los Angeles. And it was really odd because there was sort of a gap between me working as a kid and then transitioning, to work in Los Angeles at an older age. Was very different for sure. And that's kind of how I got started. I went out there. I registered with a popular casting agency, Central Casting, for everybody that knows about Central Casting. It's the first agency that I stopped by. There was myriad of agencies that I signed up for, but that was one of the first that I went to. And I think I was in LA for about 4 days, and I ended up getting a booking. I doubled for a really famous actress, and that's kind of how I got started in LA. So yeah, that was my journey.
I think I know what movie you're talking. I don't know if you had signed the NDA, but I saw that on the thing. I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I was like, you ain't gonna lie how excited I was, because I think you probably might be the first guest that I've had, because I interview a lot of people from up here in Northern California. They talk about, oh, Hollywood's like this and LA's like this, but you're like probably like the first person I had on my show that could give like first-hand experience about like what it's like working like in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you don't want to say the name of the actress or whatever, the movie that she was on, it's all good, no worries and stuff like that. But I just want to give you kudos for being able to, like I said, going down to LA. You said booking work in like your first 4 days. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome at that time. Like, that was a casting agency that like pretty much everybody's familiar with. And I remember they would have like these long lines, and all, the newbies would be registering there, and everybody was like really friendly. It was a really welcoming environment. And I happened to just put my profile in the database, and I matched up with an actress in terms of like her height, size, all of these different things. And they just called me up like 4 days after I registered, and they're like, would you be interested in booking this job? And I was like, absolutely. They put me like in a Armani dress for it. It was like really glam shoot. Like, it was really cool. So that was actually literally, I had been in LA for 4 days when that happened. So I feel like when people are talking about like kind of, it's just random how it happens. I think it is like that, because I didn't submit for this. This was something that they reached out to me specifically after registering there. And that was really cool. And that was kind of the start. It wasn't always about being, as extravagant or anything like that, but it was kind of what got me into working more in the industry. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but if that's a start, that's one heck of a start, You're getting firsthand experience working next to A-list actors, seeing what it's like to be a professional. Yeah. And were you SAG at the time?
When I first got there, I had gotten SAG vouchers before I got there. I want to say I hadn't joined. I definitely hadn't joined prior to my initial booking, but I had received. So how I ended up getting upgraded, like the first time I went in, I think I was working in San Francisco on this popular TV show, and I went in as background. And they ended up bumping me into a stand-in role, which I've done stand-in like many times over. But that's how I ended up getting one of my like first upgrades. And so I had already had SAG vouchers before I moved there, but I hadn't officially joined the union. And I wasn't, what do they call it? SAG must join. I wasn't at the must join state at that time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're still just eligible?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now it's a good space to be at, where you could kind of still teeter with both, and they're not how like SAG's not how you need to join. You're like, you know what? I can join when I'm ready. I'm chilling.
Yeah. At that time, I wasn't new, but I was new to LA for sure.
Yeah.
In terms of like working, I had traveled there and knew LA pretty well, but in terms of working. So when I first got there and booked my first job, I hadn't joined the union yet. And I'd worked on a lot of, this is before they merged. I had worked on a lot of, I don't know why I'm blanking. It's the union that all of the soap operas and radio, it was after, right?
Oh, after. It was after. Yeah, it was after. Yeah.
So I worked on after shows fairly regularly in LA at the time before the merger. And I did some like background work in that and things like that. So there were kind of like a few different things that I did kind of before I even ventured into, joining the union. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And so we had talked about this before we had started rolling and stuff like that, but I just wanted to talk about how cool it was because you had worked on two projects at this two projects kind of like within the same year, but two totally different types of roles. You had worked on the Nickelodeon TV show Ned's Declassified, and then you had worked on the late night TV shows called like not late night, but LAX. I don't know what channel. I think it was like ABC or NBC or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so both pretty cool. I think it's like, that's a part of our job, right? Like changing up our characters. Sometimes it requires us to, look a little bit older or look a little bit younger. Those are not things that I actually was intentionally trying to do. I met this casting director that worked. I think he was working for Nickelodeon at the time. He was either at Nickelodeon or Disney at the time. And I auditioned for another project that he was working on solo. And I ended up being connected with the casting director for a show. And then I ended up coming on for that. And that's kind of how I got into, working in television. In LA, though, you do for people who haven't always booked like principal or supporting roles, there's a lot of background. And I know people talk about background. I'm not biased to it. I feel like one, it has resulted in me getting upgrades. So I was never impartial about it. And then also it's how you can kind of sustain work while you're auditioning and looking for other work, right? So when I first got there, that was kind of the road that I took. I would get on set a lot so I can meet a lot of people. And when you're working in LA, you can do that probably 2, 3, 4 times, a week even. There's work constantly rotating. So I kind of took that route and I would meet people on set. And, that's kind of what would allow me to audition for other things or book other parts. And that's kind of what it was. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of people up here, and that's probably just because there's not as much work up here. So people don't see the value in doing background work. They like, oh my word, I want to be this, I want to be that. But at the end of the day, bro, one, you just want to get the experience. 2, you want to be around professional filmmakers so you can network and talk to them. And then 3, you also kind of want to get a paycheck. It don't matter what that paycheck look like, but just getting that paycheck kind of validates. All right, I feel like I'm an actor now, or a working actor.
Yeah, for sure. And it can always lead to additional opportunities. You never know who you're going to meet on set. I know people have their opinions about that. Personally, I've had so many great things happen, just stepping into something and ending up in something else. And that's really what it is. I mean, I've had a national like that. You'd be surprised at what can happen. So I think you just have to be open to meeting people, networking, being as open and friendly as you can be. And then a lot of times that's how you meet people that, you don't even know that they might have jobs in the future. It's kind of like how we met, we met at a film mixer, but now you invited me to come on the show and I'm on the show with you on the podcast. And we've been kind of keeping in contact since then. You just kind of never know what's going to happen. So I try to stay open. I would encourage anybody that's in the industry, no matter what level of the industry you entered into, union, non-union, background, foreground, whatever it is, just stay open, and try to network as best as you can, learn as much about the industry as you can.
I especially say especially with us being Black, if we're talking about being in front of the camera, there's a certain age range, you know what I'm saying, that people look for. But us being Black, our age range kind of expands, because we don't really age like that. Say Black don't crack and stuff. So that's why I say even with you working on Ned's Declassified and then working on the TV show LAX, I was like, that people, 2 totally different characters, you're playing I think that was middle school,
Yeah,
you played a student, you played a middle school student on a TV show, and then a police officer, and then a police officer on a whole nother show, and you're doing this within the same year. So that's why I tell people once you get outside your head of there's so many possibilities of ways we could get work and make a paycheck, and then also network to build up whatever it is that you want to do in this industry.
For sure. Yeah. That's good advice.
Yeah. Well, we try to, hopefully they listen. I don't know. Either way, we're paying attention. We're working.
Where'd you get your start initially?
I got my start initially, I would say, my official start would be I auditioned for a Fruitvale station, and that was my first official way into it, but I would say like if I wanted to go like back there, like during like I did one of those. Was those like those radio ads where they're like, "Hey, you want to be on Disney Channel? You want to be on Nickelodeon?" Like those Draw Robert Power days and all that type of stuff. I think that's how I got. That's how I got my start. And, you know, those were nothing but scams. Those were kind of like scammy, but I mean, that's kind of how. You know, I got hustled into the business, and then I was like, "Well, I guess I'm here now."
You didn't sign up for the classes, did you?
Yeah, I did. I went down to LA and everything. I went down to LA. I auditioned.
Wow.
Oh my word! Yeah, I did. Wow. I did the whole caboodle. Yeah, so I got hustled into the business, but then once I was in, I'm like, I guess I'm in here now.
Yeah, it's wild.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of had our stages and maybe participating in something that hasn't been as advantageous for sure.
Yeah. This is not as advertised at all. Sure, but no, yeah, that's how I got my start with that Fruitvale Station, and then right after Fruitvale Station, that's where I started getting booked to do with like the true crime show that they had going on in the Bay Area. Because you had did a couple of those too, right? You did the I Almost Got Away with It and Wives with Knives.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those were really cool. I mean, I saw it air, and I think they had me on one episode. I was like in the military, and we were like playing basketball, and I want to say like the woman had killed her spouse or something like that.
But
yeah, those were pretty fun reenactment shows.
Yeah. As an actor, did you do like a lot of like research for the characters? Like when you found out that you would do like the Wives and Knives and you see the episode, did you do like research on the characters or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, I would look up if I found out that it was modeled behind like a real story. I would look up, the story and kind of find out the details of the story. I think with reenactments, it depends. Like sometimes if you're playing the character, you play the character specifically the way that they are, and other times you can bring a little bit of your yourself into the character. I was playing a supporting character in the shows that I was in, so it was a little bit different in terms of like a lot of their central focuses are on like the principal actor, which would be the person who committed the crime and the person that was the victim of the crime. I was actually the person who perpetrated the crime, their friend, so kind of like the girlfriend of the killer.
That's how I always was. I was always the friend of the killer. No, I think I played a killer one time.
There you go.
Yeah, I think I played a killer one time, but that was about it. Yeah, but
I want to play a killer in a psychological like thriller so bad that would be like one of my dream roles if I could ever get something like that.
Yeah. Crazy off the topic thing, because idea that popped into my head. This lady had sent me a thing. She's like, I want to film a horror movie. It was like a hotel dedicated to like nothing but clowns. I don't know where it's like, somewhere in Las Vegas or whatever. But she's like, I want to film a horror movie. So I think that came into my mind was like how you say like a psychological horror thriller would be like because usually clowns are the killers. Yeah. But it'd be funny if it was like a reverse thing where it's like somebody's so afraid of clowns that they just trap all the clowns in this place and they just start killing them off and stuff like that. So like the killer's just dressed regular, but he's just killing off all these clowns. I don't know. That's just something came to my head and stuff like that. But that was funny. But no, those true crime shows are always just the thing that always stuck out to my head. It was just like I was like, these are real stories. Like these are real people right here. These people really like. People is crazy in this world. There's some crazy ass people in this world. And that's what you take away from acting too, is all like seeing all these different characters that are all based off of real sort of people and stuff like that. And you're able to take something from them or, give something to it just helps you become a better person, I feel like, in general. Cause I like now these true crimes is an extreme example, but like you see the types of pathways that the person goes through to kind of set them down this crazy ass path. You like look at it, you say, oh, well, I know I'm not going to do this in my life.
Yeah. They were, if you think about it, like those networks were I think they were kind of groundbreaking because like true crime is incredibly popular right now. Like if you look at Netflix and all the, the different crime shows that they have on there, crime series that they have on there, and the ID channel, and I think it was like ID Discovery, they were doing that like, I mean, decades ago, right? And so it's interesting. I feel like you're right. Like, it is real, people's lives, and you get to see kind of, how they journey from usually starting out like in really good relationships, and normally they progress into something really sordid or twisted, and it's really it's crimes of passion, right? So it's that element of humanity that's like kind of interesting to explore in a sense, because these are real people that usually are in advantageous relationships and situations, and something goes awry and they like quote unquote snap. I mean, I don't know anything about that, but it definitely is something that obviously happens, right? Because we're seeing true crime shows and documentaries just everywhere nowadays, right? They're really popular on the radio and podcasts and all these kinds of things. So I think it was interesting for all of us to have an opportunity to work on the Discovery Channel way back then. And I also love that they had a lot of diversity on the show.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's one of the things I can honestly say. Like, they had a lot of diverse, like I have friends from all different walks of life that kind of, went through different shows on that network.
Yeah, that is one thing I will say is they helped a lot of people get at least, your acting real together, opportunities that may not have come that way. And you have brought up something too that I didn't really realize is how you say that it was the true crime was like groundbreaking as far as all like TV entertainment. And the Bay Area does that a lot. And I don't feel like it's really like it's just due for like the way it really like the groundbreaking stuff that happens in the Bay Area. Like you talk something like true crime, or you talk about like Star Wars, setting the pace for like superhero films, all that stuff. Animation movies, PIXAR is right here. People whole mess about streaming. Oh, streaming's take over. I'm like, yeah, but it also started in the Bay Area. It's right here. It's right up the way. So
let me tell you, PIXAR is amazing.
What is
PIXAR is amazing.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I booked with PIXAR before, and like it was the most incredible, to this day, that was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. Like, I got to work with this engineer was responsible for he produced like 8 different animation movies, and he was with me through my whole session, and like it was so incredible. I can't really talk about it or tell anybody about it at the time, but it was one of the most incredible experiences that I've ever had working in voice in general, but just like the way that it came about too. Like, I was like so excited about it. Still to this day, like I can't wait to be able to book another like PIXAR job and, voice some animations and things like that. It's incredible there.
You did some voiceover for, was it the Lightyear movie?
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. I told you I did my IMDb research. All right, for sure. That's what's up. What's up. Cool. And then, well, we're just going to get into it because you talked about animation, all that stuff. Is it okay if we segue into, this is kind of hard segue, but segue to like your stuff that you have going on?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool, perfect. Because you have BBP.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Breaking Black Productions. That's what it says. It right there. I'm stupid. Breaking Black Productions. I've seen you posted a lot on your social media, Instagram, Facebook. These really cool, unique 3D animation videos that you like substitute teacher, all that good stuff. This is your chance to tell everybody about what Breaking Black Productions is and these animations that you have going on and what you plan on doing with them.
Yeah, so Breaking Black Productions is a new production company. My goal is to kind of be able to break into areas where I feel like people of color haven't been seen as often in front of or, behind the camera. I'd like to kind of widen the lens of what we can do. And I think I've kind of always been like that. I started out with Breaking Black podcast for everybody who's seen it or hasn't seen it. I'm a podcaster. I created and produce and host a show, co-host with another actress who's out of Brooklyn, New York. We co-host Breaking Black podcast together, which is a podcast that I created. And I kind of came into it just as an African-American woman wanting to bring, other women of color and, hear from different communities and things of that nature. And so as I was going through the process with Breaking Black podcast, I was like, I don't really want to stop here. So I started thinking about other mediums that I wanted to create. And Breaking Black Productions was something that I decided to do because I had this new series a science fiction series that I was interested in producing. It's a dream of mine that I've had like for an infinite amount of time. I love the Twilight Zone, the original Rod Serling version of the Twilight Zone, Jordan Peele's remake of the Twilight Zone as well, Black Mirror. I have just been a fan of science fiction series since I can remember. And so I wanted to develop this series, and I was like, I don't want to just stop here. I want to be able to have a production company that allows me to venture into all of the areas that I have an interest in. And that includes science fiction. That includes animations. These are all the things that I've always been really passionate about. And so that's kind of how it came to be. And I started out like taking classes. And I just was like, let me give this a try. I've always had like a creative eye, and I've always just tried new things. Like that's just whether I'm working professionally or just doing something personally. I've always loved to just like create different things. And I've worked as a creative producer before. So I'm no stranger to that. And in creating this production company, I just decided, to kind of venture into both spaces. So right now I'm kind of going into 3D animations and then also working on my science fiction series as well.
How do you make the you create the 3D animations yourself?
Yeah, so I use both. So I do a combination. I have used AI technology, which is really popular. Some people are biased about it. I'm not. I feel like it's very similar to coding for me. It feels like an avenue where you can kind of expand your creations. And so I remember when we had the vote, like, honestly, like I voted out, right? And I was like, I don't want this AI thing to come in. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't want it to come in. I was like, this doesn't make sense. And then people started positioning it to me like, hey, what about those foreign films where, they're doing the lip sync and, now you've got this technology that can kind of translate this, to match the dubbing and things like that. And I was like, let me think about this. And I actually took a class and it was kind of like, just learning from that, I was like, maybe I should explore this a little bit. And so, I had always had an interest in animations, but I was like, this could kick it up a notch and allow me to explore different things, especially when it comes to 3D models. So yeah, that's kind of what allowed me to kind of venture into it. And so I'm working on creating basically like a learning curriculum. I have a background in education as well, in management and education. And so part of that is going to be part of a learning curriculum module for kids, essentially teaching them different things, utilizing these 3D models. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be venturing into in the future with BBP animations. And that's just a banner of Breaking Black production, obviously the BPP, for the children's kind of portion of my production company.
Awesome. And then you had the other show was Inventus, you had said?
Inventus, yes.
Yeah. And that's not a 3D, that's not animation, that's going to be.
Yeah, that's going to be an actual science fiction series. Right now I'm raising funds. So I have a GoFundMe set up at Inventus, the series. So you can check it out. And it's basically a science fiction anthology. Science fiction anthologies are like my favorite form or favorite niche of science fiction. So I knew that I wanted to do an anthology, and I was kind of teetering back and forth on whether I want to do a standard series or I wanted to make it an anthology, and I just like could not stop thinking about it in terms of an anthology. So, that's kind of where you get your Twilight Zone or your Black Mirror. It's got that kind of a feel to it. This is a science fiction about time travel. Innovations in time travel, and I just am super excited about it. Very intelligent, innovative characters, lead characters and supporting characters, a lot of ethnic representation in my cast, which I'm really excited about. My hero of the story is an African-American college student, which is amazing. And I just am really excited to kind of break into this space and also just to have representation in this space. So, I'm going to be looking for, people of color to join the cast, but, also having them behind the scenes. I want to be able to see these people on my sets, working professionally. And I think that's the ultimate goal, Yeah.
And if anybody wants to support Y'all look right up here. We got the QR code right there. That is the link to the GoFundMe. So y'all go ahead and support Tina's Breaking Black Productions, Inventus, try to science fiction, kids stuff. Do it all. I like that. I like that. That's awesome. Do you have any actors in mind? And this is just my shameless plug right here. This is just a shameless plug for me right now.
I honestly do. There's a couple of actors that I've thought about for this role. Back in the day, we had an audition with an actor that was he's working on a Netflix show. He had I'm trying to think of the show. Let me pull it up. There is an actor that I have in mind. He's a really intelligent, skillful actor, and he fits the characteristics of the show. And I'd essentially have to have the funding that would allow me to be able to garner using, a name, attaching a name to the project. So I kind of, I have a professor, older, wiser gentleman that I would be interested in looking at for that. But the lead character is something that I would definitely consider, in the actual anthology, as having somebody with a name. So there are some actors that I have in mind, and one of them actually auditioned for one of the projects that I worked on like many years ago, and he's gone on and really taken off and blown up. I think he's had 2 Netflix shows, and I'd love to revisit like being able to get him to read for this part, but that's kind of something that I'm going to have to work out as I'm going through and raising funding for the project, for sure.
Okay, well, I already know it's all going to come through, so that's no worries at all. That's no worries at all. And then let's talk a little bit about the Breaking Black podcast, because I watched some of it. I didn't know that the co-host was all the way in Brooklyn. I didn't know that. Or in New York, you said?
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I mean, it seems so simple because we record the podcast like this, but I was like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so my co-host, her name's Janine Hartman. Shout out to Janine. Janine is fantastic. Let me just say. So I met her on a set. I was like shooting a video, and she wasn't booked on it, but we had a mutual friend that was like modeling, and she and I were on a video shoot, and we were playing like that the opposite romantic interest. So you know how the guy's got two women, and he's trying to play them both or whatever. So there's a model by the name of Belle Sophie, and she and we shot it together playing those opposing parts. And I actually met Janine on that set because she had accompanied her friend to the shoot, and we kind of like kept in contact. She was here locally. I think we were both in California at the time, but she's originally from the East Coast. And so I auditioned for co-host for my new upcoming season. Janine was one of the people that submitted a phenomenal audition for the podcast. And when I realized who it was, I was like, wow, like, we had crossed paths before, and I knew about her work. And so getting her to come onto the show was just amazing. She's doing some fantastic things. She's been on the MTV. She's done a Law and Order. She's been on the Tamron Hall show and all kinds of wonderful things. And so she dances, she models, she sings, and she's actually in doing 2 off-Broadway shows as we speak. So we're kind of halting production right now until she finishes those shows, because I want to tremendously support, what she's got going on. So she's wonderful. But yeah, she's out of Brooklyn. She works out of New York, doing some amazing things out there in New York. And I love having her on because she's got a different personality, gives a little bit of that East Coast flair. We've got West Coast, East Coast, and it's nice to have her on.
Yeah. And how important is it for you to create a safe space for Black people, Black artists, to create a dialogue about what's going on? Because y'all talk about, when I listen to some of the podcasts, y'all don't really talk too much about like pop culture, the movie stuff. You talk about like real life stuff that everyday Black person is going through. How important is it for you to kind of create a dialogue, create that space for Black people to just kind of come to and just listen to, like, oh, this person gets me?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I have a very wide audience in terms of like the demographics that are, looking at the social media or looking at Breaking Black podcast. So I wanted to create a space that allows us to be able to explore the Black voice. But I didn't just want it to be exclusively for us. I wanted everyone who could relate to the type of topics that we talk about to have an interest in the show. And so while I want to properly represent what it is to be an African American woman, and I've had I want to say 5 different co-hosts of different age demographics, different cultures, different backgrounds, and even different parts of. I had one out of Atlanta and another one out of Brooklyn, different parts of the United States. But I wanted those voices to come across, but I wanted that to translate to being able to reach people who could just identify with some of the situations that we're talking about. So we do explore entertainment and popular culture a little bit more in the latest season, and also in the upcoming season that we have for 2026 in the spring. But we have explored a lot of relational and societal topics, like love languages and co-parenting and, what it's like to be in our communities and like all these different things. Eurocentric beauty standards and different things that people can relate to. But that's something that kind of crosses across all people, right? Like everybody knows what it is to have to co-parent. Everybody knows what it is to go through separation or divorce and have to worry about how you're going to handle your kids. Everybody knows about gentle and harsh parenting and all these different things that we talk about on the show and social media influence. And so it's coming from Black voices, but it's also topics that all kinds of different people can actually relate to.
Yeah, which I think is cool, because I said basically you letting people know that, hey, we're all going through the same thing. We're all just going through the same thing, the same experiences in life. So however we are able to relate to this, we create it creates a space for, like I said, it just creates a safe space for people to realize that there's no like division or dividing anything and stuff like that. It's like we're all going through something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all human, right? So we can relate to the heart of humanity. That's kind of what it is. A lot of us have challenges and difficulties. Society and social media have a tremendous influence, and we all know what it is to experience that, whether you're working in the entertainment industry or any other industry. So I feel like that's what I kind of wanted to give a voice to. I like having a space for women, because when I was researching podcasts, majority of the podcasts that are out are male run shows, right? And so I knew coming into podcasting that I was already going to be in a really small percentage of, people, not only as an African American, but as a woman coming into podcasting and even coming into production, right? Because when you look at a film set, your typical Hollywood or independent film set, how often do you see women, behind those cameras, right? And so those are things that I'm interested in expanding. Those are things that I'm interested in opening up the conversation and the dialogue for, and being able to kind of make and create a space for us. And I hope that that is something that attracts mutually like-minded people that want to join and kind of pioneering some change in those spaces, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, of course. And then, so being up here in the Bay Area, kind of talking about that, what are some of the things that you would like to see, like, or things that you think could happen in the Bay Area, the film community and stuff like that, going forward to the future, with all the good things that we have coming up, like with the tax incentives. We saw a little bit earlier, like with the SAG union board. It's a whole entire different union board now. The union board is really supportive of the film community, and then just the Bay Area film community as a whole. I feel there's just so many different pockets of people just bubbling, and you never know who is going to pop. So what do you see as far as like the future of filmmaking up here in the Bay Area?
I mean, it's endless, right? I mean, it can definitely grow. I think what I'd love to see in the future is more of us working together, collectively, collaborating. we do really, really well at networking. Like I've been to tons of the mixers and the networking events, and we do really great at networking and getting to know each other and staying in contact and championing each other in our different endeavors and things like that. But I'd love to see us like come together to create projects like as team creatives, because one of the challenges that I see, it's interesting, right? Because when you're in the union, you're working as a union actor, but the moment that you move forward with producing or creating your own project, now you're working in an independent space, if that makes sense. A lot of the times, right? And making projects SAG, that's definitely something that I'm interested in doing in terms of like producing projects and actually making SAG projects. That's something that I definitely plan to work on. But I just mean in terms of like transitioning into a space where you're independently trying to find funding or independently trying to find crew, to work on your sets and things like that. We do a lot of that in isolated type situations. Like this person directing, producing this, and this person's over here writing and, directing this. But in terms of us coming together and saying, hey, we're going to help each other develop each of our concepts, I feel like we haven't seen that happen as frequently as I'd like. And since budgeting is often challenging and being able to get, distribution can be challenging, if we put those resources together, and it wasn't just about me doing a crowdfunding campaign, or me doing a GoFundMe or Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and you doing the same, or finding private investors, but we were all coming together collectively and working on fundraising campaigns together to create productions, for all of us who have dreams of being independent filmmakers. I think that's kind of the space that I'd like to see us moving into, where we're not just in these isolated pockets, but we're also coming together to collectively, produce something bigger, more grand. And that could be representing each person that comes in, right? Like you get a team of 5 people to come together. Maybe we work at producing every last one of our concepts, right? That's something that I would love to see. But in terms of your question, I think the Bay Area is expanding. I think it's getting to a space where it's opening up more to the film, and television aspect of the market, because I feel like for a long time, the commercial industrial voiceover space has been fairly big, but you don't see as much of a push when it comes to filmmaking or, network television, streaming series and things like that. Yeah.
I think that's where, like us, like with you having the BPP, maybe have the Buddy production. That's where it's gonna start at. It's gonna be these homegrown productions that hopefully, like with what you're saying, with people coming together, and then finally like the financial resources kind of like floating around in the air, to where you kind of it's kind of up for grabs right now. So I feel like I definitely feel like within these next 2 years, you'll definitely kind of well, that's my goal. Is to kind of just be out there and, say these are the productions and stuff like that we all could be out here supporting. And then now you'll have like you never know, Inventus will be the next like Full House, that or the 13 Reasons Why, if you want to say that in-house production company up here. We have a TV series up here in the Bay Area filming every year. And then and then before we do wrap up this episode, was there anything that we didn't get a chance to talk about, or something that you want to go back and highlight real quickly?
Well, I mean, I just want to encourage anybody who's listening to this podcast. First of all, thanks again, Buddy, for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate connecting with you. Great guy, not only just professionally, but personally. But I want to encourage anybody that's watching this, to help contribute to our GoFundMe campaign. I am very passionate about making Inventus. Inventus is been a long time dream of mine, and being able to have, characters that can be fully represented as intelligent, beautiful, innovative, people of color on the screen is something that is definitely a dream of mine. And so it's going to take, obviously it's a technologically advanced type of series. It's dealing in science fiction and time travel. And there are some other twists in terms of the modern day time machine that I'm not going to release, but some things coming up, and it's going to take a bit of funding in order for this to happen. And so I definitely will encourage anybody, please, if you are watching this, this will help the community. This will help to give science fiction a new face. We are, involved in the science fiction genre, but in terms of like our independent spaces, a lot of the times we don't see it as often, and we definitely don't see as many characters of color as I'd like to see cross over into these genres. I'm an extreme fan of science fiction, and this is a beautiful story, a very intelligent story, and I just really would appreciate any of you that would be interested in supporting me on my personal journey, supporting Inventus in this growth journey for this production. Please visit our GoFundMe campaign. Again, it's at Inventus the series, and as you can see, the QR code is listed there. Click on it, take a look at my GoFundMe campaign. There's going to be more to come in terms of the campaigning for Inventus, but it's Inventus the series. Again, it's an anthology exploring time travel, and I would just appreciate the public's support in helping me to bring my vision to fruition.
And if people want to follow you on social media to continue following your journey, where could they follow you at?
Yes. So on Facebook, you can follow me at Breaking Black Productions. Again, that's Facebook at Breaking Black Productions. I also have a page on Facebook at Tina Gilton. On Instagram, you can follow me at Miss Tina Graham. That's MS Tina Graham, like Instagram. I'm on there quite a bit. I've also got a Breaking Black podcast page on Instagram and TikTok. So you can follow me at Breaking Black Podcast on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. And follow me on Facebook at Breaking Black Productions.
Yes, y'all. Please go follow Tina. She has a very amazing I combine two words: story and journey. She has a very incredible sturdy. That's the new word I just invented. She has a very incredible sturdy working in the entertainment business. Like I said, going from Bay Area, LA. Bay Area, being on all these productions. Yeah, so please, y'all, keep following her story, keep following her journey. You can follow me, yeahbuddyent.com. You can listen to the Yeah Buddy podcast at yeahbuddyent.com, my website, and then anywhere I stream my podcast. And I'm gonna get out of here because I'm trying to get over this cold right now. I don't know if you can hear, my sinuses is killing me right now. Yeah. So
when we come back, I gotta get you on my show. Of
course, we're gonna do that.
Podcast.
I got you.
We gotta hook you up.
I got you. I'm gonna make that happen. So y'all, no worries. Thank you. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna have me a hot tea or something like that. Get rid of this cold.
I hope.
But other than that, buddy. Oh no, I'll be cool. I'm actually getting over it. That's what it all is right now. So I'll get it out of my system. So thank you again for tuning in, everybody. Tina, thank you again for being such a wonderful guest. Like I said, if this is your first time tuning in, I hope y'all had a great time. My returning friends, thank y'all. I couldn't do this without y'all. This has been Buddy Rahming of the Yeah Buddy podcast. Tina G in the house. All right. Thank y'all, man. Y'all, we out. Deuces.